This is the High School Football America podcast for February the 25th, 2020. I'm Jeff Fisher. Heading to Crowell, Texas right now. Where is that? Well, we're going to let the coach tell you in just a second, but the best I could tell when I looked at the map, the best way to describe it, if you drew a triangle between kind of Wichita Falls, Amarillo, and Lubbock, then somewhere in the middle there is Crowell, Texas, and the young man that's on the line, and I mean young man, is Mitchell Parsley, the head coach at his alma mater. Just got the job. As a matter of fact, he got the job when he was still at Wayland Baptist University, playing quarterback there. He has 2 state titles to his name back in his hometown, and he's there to coach the 6-man program. And Coach Parsley's on the line right now to talk about tiny Texas town and being one of the youngest dudes with an HC after his name in America. Welcome to the show, Coach.
How's it going? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you on here. And you were one of the first names that popped up when last week I wrote the story about a young man in my hometown in Pennsylvania being 23 years old. And a couple of people out there in Texas said, hey, there's this guy, won a couple of state championships, and he's there. So let's kind of take the people on a little journey. But before that, I gave the description of where Crowell is, but tell everybody exactly, was I right? Is it in kind of like the triangle between those 3 cities?
Yes, you gave a very good description of where it's at. It is about 80 miles west of Wichita, and it's right there, basically right in the middle of all those towns. So right. You did a fantastic job.
All right, well, I'm going to make you be the Chamber of Commerce for the show here right now, and say, tell the listeners around the nation what kind of community it is. You grew up there, you played youth sports there, and now you're back there. But how would you describe it to the listeners around the nation?
It's a great community. Everybody knows everybody. You can't do anything without everybody knowing. So it's very tight-knit community. Everybody helps each other out. And when it comes to sports in the school, everybody's all for it. They all come together and they're at all the games. It doesn't matter if it's football, basketball, track. We get a big group everywhere we go, and the community is so supportive. It's unreal.
It's what makes small-town America great.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's, the school keeps this little town going. All the kids are, they're honestly really great. And, when you have good kids like that, it's easy for the community to get behind them and, go out of their way for these kids in the school.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Mitchell Parsley's on the line. He is the athletic director and the new head football coach. He hasn't coached a game as the HC, but we're going to talk about that in a second. So let's begin this journey and take the listeners all the way back to the point when you, on this 6-man program, was leading the town to glory. I mean, there's nothing better. It doesn't matter if it's 6-man or 11-man. You win a state championship in Texas, that's remembered for forever, right? So tell me a little bit about those days back in the day, what it was like to play there, and certainly we're then going to bring it all the way through to be the coach there at the program. But take us back to those state titles and how special it was for you guys.
It was very special for us to make it all the way. And, at the beginning of the year when a couple of us said we were going to go all the way and win it, everybody didn't even really think it was an option. And then we all, came together. We had some great coaches that, really got the most out of us. And we all just worked together. And we had some crazy games along the way, some really crazy games. But we ended up making it. And the rest is history. It was awesome. From a town that doesn't even have, almost probably around 900. And there was over 5,000-6,000 people at the game. It was pretty cool. It was awesome.
Yeah. Coach Mitchell Parsley on the line at Crowell, Texas. He's the new head coach there, athletic director as well. Played football there and won a couple of back-to-back 6-man state titles. And I guess a good question to ask now is, so you're a 6-man quarterback. You end up going to Wayland Baptist University, and they had more than 6 guys there, right? It's 11-man football in college at that point. How big of an adjustment was that for you?
It was quite an adjustment, honestly. It was a lot more crowded out there on the football field. But I guess it came down to, footwork and timing for me because we didn't have too much of that. You kind of run around until somebody gets open or run the ball. But 11 men, there's a lot more technique and timing to it. So that was probably my biggest adjustment.
And then you did have a very successful career there, though. I mean, you adjusted pretty well. I mean, when did it finally click for you?
Really, when I finally got the chance to get in the game and play, and I'd be full speed, and that's when it all started clicking. And then it just becomes football again, just go and catch and just doing what you can to get the ball down the field.
Yeah. I think I read something in one of the stories when you were hired back at your alma mater that you said in some ways you were a little bored by 11-man football. Was that a correct quote from you? Do you really feel that way, that 6-man kind of keeps your head in the game and 11-man just kind of plods along a little bit?
Oh, most definitely. It was a big culture shock just to go from, being in there every snap of the game to just going out for offense, not getting to do anything else. And, that was the hardest transition is, as a quarterback in college, they try not to let you get hit during practice and everything. And I was used to getting hit, tackling every single day almost. And so it was a big culture shock. And then, as a quarterback, you only go out there for a drive and then you have to wait for the defense and then a drive and wait for the defense. And it's definitely a lot slower game, so it took some patience to get through that. That's for sure.
Yeah, and no doubt the patience always pays off. Mitchell Parsley is the head coach at Crowell High School in Texas, a little tiny town, as we described, kind of a little triangle between Wichita Falls, Amarillo, and Lubbock. And Coach, I probably should have asked you this or had you set this up at the beginning, because it's probably been about 7 or 8 years since we had anybody on the radio show here talking about 6-man football. Is there a way to succinctly describe it for all the listeners across the nation who are saying, what do you mean 6 people and they're playing a game? That's a pickup game where I'm from, right?
Yes, that's what usually most people compare it to, where they ask, oh, y'all play flag football? No, it's a very physical game, to be honest. We don't have the big, huge guys like most 11-man, but, it's a very fast, fun game to watch. There's big hits, a lot of open field tackling, and it takes a lot more stamina. You're not just guarding a little, 10, 20-yard area. You're guarding 40 yards. It's a big difference from 11-man. The game's a lot faster. 4 downs, you have to go 15 yards instead of 10. Field goals, if you make a extra point, it counts as 2, and then if you run it in, it counts as 1. It's a little, because it's harder to get a field goal off than it is to run 2 yards in 6-man. And so there's a bunch of little changes, but it is a very fun, fast, and interesting game to watch.
Yeah, and it's 80 yards, but the great thing about Texas, and I know this is going to be one of your goals, we'll talk about that, but in Texas, they go to where the big boys play too, at AT&T, so that we'll talk about that in a second. Let's switch back to you getting the job. So you're the quarterback, you're at Wayland Baptist University, you're hometown proud, obviously, we can hear that in your voice. And how does it all come about that your hometown says, hey, we know you're just kind of getting ready to graduate, but why don't you come back and be our head coach and our athletic director? How'd that happen?
Well, I've known since a very young age that I've always wanted to be a coach, and I knew I always wanted to come back here. And I honestly had graduated. I had finished school in the summer.
Okay.
And I had started working on my master's just so I could play my last year of football. And the opportunity presented itself where it came open. I applied, and, it was a very interesting journey. And, just having to think about football and then being nervous about an interview. It was all fun, but I had to miss one of our practices to come interview. And but our head coach over there is very supportive. He's known that's a big goal of mine since I've been there. And, he supported me the whole way and is like a mentor to me. And so he helped me out a whole lot. And everything it really fell in place. Very blessed.
Yeah, a little before Christmas, too, you learned out, right? So kind of a nice Christmas gift there for you, I would think.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, it was.
Mitchell Parsley on the line, Crowell, Texas, a little tiny town, as he said, a little under 1,000 people there. And as a quarterback on the team there, he led him to 2 state championships at the 6-man level. He's now back to coach this year. So let's talk about this. You've been coached all your life. You said you wanted to be a coach. So tell me a little bit about the fingerprint you put on this program. Is it a combination of all the coaches you've played under? How does Coach Parsley develop his brand of high school football?
Yes, sir. I would think it definitely has a little touch of every coach that I've been under and that have all touched me in a way. Here in Crowell, it's kind of a stepping stone for a lot of coaches. They come and go, but I think every single one of them has given me a unique perspective on the game and how to do things. And I do indeed take a lot of things from them and from the years. And I plan on putting all that into play and, whatever I have to do to get the best out of the kids and what's best for the kids, really. And I think I have a bunch of great ideas from all the coaches that have coached me, and I'm very, very excited to get it started.
I'm sure you are. There's no doubt about that. Let me ask you this question, because it is a small town, and like you said, it rides on the back of the sports teams. I'm sure there's a lot of kids that are there with you now that are going to be playing for you that probably maybe saw you. I know it's a little removed from it, but probably saw you win some state championships. Is that accurate to say? And what was it like to stand in front of those people who were probably idolizing you as the guy that brought them 2 state championships to the town?
I think it's great for us. I think kids, they respect and they are more acceptable to your coaching when they know or they've seen you do things. They've seen you go through all that stuff. And that kind of gives you that extra relationship, them seeing me play. And granted, 3 of the boys that are on the team now were, our water boys and stuff when we went to state. And I got 2 cousins on the team. It's been very interesting. But these guys have been awesome, and they really bought into everything that I want to do. And, they're excelling already, and it's a sight to see.
Yeah, what's the off season like for you? Because it's so small. I would assume you got many multi-sport athletes, but do you guys have kind of the official type of off season weight room and all that, or how? Paint that picture for the listeners.
Yes, sir. We do have a lot of kids that do all the sports here, and that's a lot. I mean, especially when you get into the spring, and there's kids gone 4 days out of the week to sporting events, but we do have an off season for the guys that are just football. They've been lifting real hard. Since I got here, I think we've made a 30, 40 pound jump on all of our maxes in just, almost 2 months. So
not bad. That's very good.
These kids are really buying in. They're working hard, and these guys are ready, and they're motivated, and they're coming in every day ready to go. And I love it. I love it every day.
Talking to Coach Mitchell Parsley at Crowell High School in Texas. How many kids are in the program at this point? Do you also run, is it just a varsity program, or do you actually have a JV program or a freshman type program?
We try to do varsity and JV, if we have enough. It kind of just depends on the numbers. And, some weeks we'll be able to have a JV, and then, we'll have some injuries, and then won't be able to have a JV. So it's kind of day by day in that area, but we do what we can.
What about, and maybe I'm guessing here at this, but I've driven across Texas, north to south, east to west, about 3 or 4 times. As a matter of fact, when I was looking at the map to try and figure out where you were, I remember going to visit my buddy who was the former head coach in Lubbock, Jason Strunk, over a Thanksgiving holiday. I remember driving through Turkey. I thought that was kind of funny that I was on Thanksgiving driving through Turkey. But anyway, the point of this, other than that, I thought it was a funny story. The point of my question is this, you guys at the 6-man level end up having some pretty long road trips, don't you, when you have away games, or am I wrong about that?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Every now and then, I know it can. It's usually between 2.5, 3 hours. Especially once you get later on in the season, you can't. And then once everybody gets split up with district and division and stuff like that, you do kind of have to branch out a little bit. But there's, around here, around Crowell, there's a bunch of 6-man schools. So
okay, all right. I was going to say, otherwise every game is a road game, even if you're not going that far. We're talking to Coach Mitchell Parsley. He's the new head coach, 23 years old, the youngest, or one of the youngest, I should say, in America. I know you'll probably think this is a goofy question, but one thing that I believe in on this radio show for the last decade is making sure that we get the kids in there. So you talked about good activity in the weight room, great growth on the weights. Tell us about some of the kids that you're looking for leadership, on and off the field in 2020.
So we have a lot of great kids. We have a great senior group right now, and although I won't get to coach them in football, they do a great job of setting the example and everything. We have a very solid junior class that I'm expecting a lot of leadership out of, more than they already do. There's a couple of those juniors that they lead the way already right now. So it's very good to see. But these boys are, very respectful. Yes, sir. No, sir. All the time. And there's not a thing that you can ask them to do that they won't give it their all and go out there and try to do it. I never have to ask for effort.
Yeah, but get some of their names in there. I want mom and dad and aunts and uncles and grandparents to be smiling when they hear their names. So get some of the kids in there for 2020 that you like.
Well, one of the two big junior leaders, his name's Seth Bearden. He's actually a phenomenal golfer. He has committed to Texas Tech University to play golf. And he still plays football, basketball, tennis, track. He does it all, and he's got a full ride to Texas Tech.
Nice.
So I give him all the praise for just sticking it out. Not when he could probably just make that decision to go all golf, and nobody could blame him. He's getting a full scholarship to D1, but he's a team player, and these boys follow his lead a whole lot. And the crazy thing is his dad was one of my coaches in those 2 years we went to state, and his mom has been my tennis coach since I was about 5 years old, probably, if not younger. So I've always been really close with them, and, they've helped me a lot through this transition. But Seth he is definitely one of a kind. He's a great leader. He keeps everybody going and keeps everybody motivated. And his close buddy Colby Carroll, that's a junior. He's one of the most respectful kids. He never questions anything. Yes, sir, no, sir, and then he gives it his all. I can't ask for anything but that. So them two, I really look forward to seeing this next year and seeing how they develop and what they become into as seniors. We have a sophomore, Harold Chapman, I got to see him play 1 or maybe 2 games this year, and he surprised me big time. He's very patient, hits the hole hard. I think he's going to be one of the top dogs this next year. And another junior that we have is Jamal Lane. He is just a phenomenal athlete. He is athletic as can be, and his motor does not stop. I don't know how he goes so fast and so hard all the time, but he is a lot of fun to watch.
Well, when you're playing six-man, you got to keep that motor going. Talking to Coach Mitchell Parsley tonight, Crowell, Texas, a tiny town there playing six-man football. He's an alum there, two-time state champ as a player, and I'm sure one of the goals is to go to state. A lot of people around the country, a lot of states have started adopting the term, going to state, but it's really a Texas thing. Anybody that watched Friday Night Lights, right, knows that. But talk about that road when you do get lucky enough to get to the postseason and what that excitement's like, because having been there myself and seen the championship games at AT&T, it's something special. But for the people around the country that think Friday Night Lights is a made-up thing, and it's not, tell them how it's not a made-up thing and it's the real deal.
It is the real deal in small Texas towns, that is for sure. I think that is what everybody waits for all week long. And then as soon as it's over, they start talking about the next week or the game from last week. I mean, it is an everyday talk in small towns. And, when you get to talking about it, and older men just talk about how they were when they played. And, you definitely never forget it. I can even speak for how it was in high school playing on Friday night with the guys you've grown up with since you were in, pre-K or first grade. It's a totally different feeling than going on to the next level and stuff like that. It's something that you never get back, and it's an awesome feeling, and just the bond you have with those guys and your team, your coaches, and then when the community gets in on it, when you make a big run, it is. I can't even explain it. It is very, very awesome.
Yeah, a lifetime of memories, right? Lifetime of memories. They'll never let you forget it. And now they're hoping you bring the magic back to Crowell. And as we wrap up here, the final question again. It's kind of funny. This whole who's the youngest and all that just kind of steamrolled. I've got people from every segment of the country chiming in with who they remember as the youngest. Some are like, well, I was 24. Well, sorry, you didn't make it. We're down to 22 at this point as the youngest. But my question to you is this: did your age even kind of dawn on you as you're going through the interview process and all that? I know you said you always wanted to be a coach, but now that you got it and everybody's saying, well, you're one of the youngest, what does that mean, if anything, I guess?
Honestly, I never really thought about it. I just, I've had a plan and a goal and set out there, and I was very blessed and fortunate to come upon as soon as it did. I don't think it really hit me until I got here, and I was thinking like, wow, I was, just sitting in my apartment, hanging out, waiting for a college class to come up, and didn't have of course we had football and that routine, but, I didn't have the routine of being somewhere for, set time every single day, or, even the time varies. It's longer or shorter, just being present every day, which I've come to get into the routine of it, and I love it. But I think that was the most unexpected thing, was it coming to belief that, oh man, this has really happened. I'm really having to make these decisions and stuff like that. But it has definitely been an interesting journey.
Well, I'm sure the journey is going to be even more fun when the pads start popping in the fall. So, Coach, we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule because, as you said earlier this week, girls basket, you got everything. You're the athletic director, too. So, chief cook and bottle washer, I guess, is the best way to put it. But we wish you nothing but success, and thanks for joining us and sharing a little bit of your story and the story of Crowell, Texas. Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Make sure when we're not on the air, you follow us on our social media. The Twitter handle is HSFB America, and on Facebook at facebook.com/High School Football America. You've been listening to the High School Football America podcast. I'm Jeff Fisher.